Being controlling and entitled, narcissists have no difficulty stepping all over your personal boundaries, which is why I've put together the comprehensive course, This Is Me. It consists of 25 videos, each with accompanying documents and guided questions. I'm going to teach you how to maintain proper boundaries despite their efforts to the contrary. There's a link below, and I hope you'll find it therapeutic. Sometimes the best way to heal and to move forward is to develop a certain amount of pessimism. Now, I know that goes very contrary to the way that many people will teach when they say, you can do it, there's always a way through this, and if you have some problems, all you have to do is just try a little bit harder and everything's going to be okay. Sometimes it's not. Now, in order to set up the thoughts that I want to share with you, I want you to just simply ask certain questions of yourself. First and foremost, you might ask, how commonly do you find yourself pushing against a narcissist's obnoxious characteristics? You know, when they're overbearing and super opinion and bossy and critical and they thwart your efforts and they just can't be cooperated with. How many times do you either verbally push back against them or inside your mind you rail against them? Do you argue easily? Do you play the role of prosecutor toward them? Do you go into a pleading mode, or do you find yourself having to overly justify who you are? Sometimes it's so easy to get caught up in that. Or perhaps, and basically what you're saying is, I need you to think and act and prioritize differently so that I can be okay. Sometimes instead of doing that, you can just kind of pull back and go into something of a fantasy mindset. And you know you're there when you're just thinking, I just wish. Anytime you've said, I just wish that person would quit being so rude, or that person could be more cooperative, or I had a better set of circumstances. All of this implies that in your mind, you can be convinced that you're going to have a better way of life if and when you can get that narcissistic individual to see the light and to get them to live in a better kind of way. I'd feel a lot better in my world if that narcissistic individual with all of their obnoxious characteristics would just quit creating so much grief. Now, actually, there's some truth to that. I mean, you would feel better. But here's a sobering truth that I want us to consider and then try to figure out what this means. The sobering truth simply is there are some things in life that simply cannot be fixed. Now, again, that's not one of those positive, feel-good, rah-rah messages. There are just some things that just are not going to be fixed. You're going to go to your grave with certain elements in your life being loose-ended. You're not going to have everything tied down and neat and in a perfect little bundle when you die. You're going to have some unfinished business between now and the time you die. That's just simply the truth. Now, rather than thinking of that as being something awful, I'm hoping that what we can do is we can turn that sobering truth into something that actually helps you. It seems so counterintuitive to say, why don't we adopt a more or a lower view of humanity as we engage with those difficult people? As we engage with the systems that they're inside of, as we think about what the solutions might be, might we be better off if we took a dimmer view of the way things are? Now, and again, I know that that can run counterintuitive. Would that make you a quitter if you learn to think that way? Would that make you a pessimist if you chose to think that way? And the answer to that is sort of. I mean, there's certain things, it's like, I am going to quit in terms of pushing back against that person, and I am going to have a certain amount of pessimism. Now, does that mean that your time spent with that very contrarian person was wasted if we were to take this dim view? And my answer there is not necessarily. Does it mean that looking back with that very difficult person, that you got the shaft, that you got a raw deal in life? And we can say, yeah, sometimes it does mean exactly that. Does it mean that you lost in their competition? And sometimes the answer is yeah, although you might go back and revisit that and think, but then again, that's a game I didn't want to play in the first place. So yeah, you lost, but yes, and then we'll say, but maybe no. Does that mean that whatever efforts that you expended, whatever emotional energy you poured into that relationship with those very difficult people went for absolutely nothing? And my response to that is definitively no, it didn't go for nothing. You see, when we take this lower view of humanity and people in front of us, it does mean that you're going to learn to put some distance between yourself and that narcissistic person, and you can be challenged to look inside your own mind and heart, knowing that out there's so much there that cannot be fixed. There's so many things out there that aren't going to be any better, but in here, where do I proceed? How do I proceed? What's going on in my life from this point forward? You can ask the question, and this is a seminal question that I hope that you'd be willing to ask. Do I like the person I'm becoming? Now, notice my use of the word becoming, not have become. Do I like the person I'm becoming? It's a progression. Whatever you've experienced in your past has some sort of impact on where you are now and where you're going to be. What's that progression going to look like? Are you going to be more bitter as you move forward? Will you be defeated and it just say, looks like my life is just nothing good? Will you be obsessive? And by that I mean you just can't let go of things from your past. Will you become vengeful? I know many people that go in that direction. Will you turn into someone who's more pensive and thoughtful and introspective? I hope so. Will you become more civil in the way that you engage with people, knowing that you weren't dealt with in civil ways necessarily? Will you become more judicious as you move forward based on what you've experienced? And judicious, by the way, can be a primary ingredient for having healthy relationship boundaries. Will you be more decent moving forward? And then can we even say, can you even become more calm as you get away from that narcissistic person, as you accept the truth that some things and some people and some systems can't be changed? Can you become more calm by thinking that way? The seminal question that you can go back to over and over as you look at that truth, that sobering truth that some people, some systems don't change, is, given everything that you've experienced, will you remain focused on the one person in your life who matters most? And that's yourself. You can know that you're still in a growth mode. You can know that you can still have an optimism as your self-definition continues to adjust as you age. And I'm hoping that that's something that you can latch on to. Now, what we're going to say is, yes, the narcissist was very inappropriate. Yes, you experienced pain and undeserved pain. Yes, you were mistreated, abused, or victimized. We're not going to take that away. Yes, your good nature was overlooked or taken advantage of, or perhaps both. But if you accept the truth of the narcissist's low nature, and as you acknowledge some things cannot be changed, there are other truths that can come to the forefront that I hope that you can focus on, and let's see where this will take you. First, we can say the presence of evil does not eliminate all that's good. You have experienced in some doses some form of evil. Maybe you've even participated in it. But it doesn't mean that there is no good left for that. Let's figure out what that means. Another thing that we can say is your emotional pain, and that is your inner protest, says that you want and you deserve something better. Let's lean into that. What does that mean? Another truth that you can latch on to is perhaps you can say, you know what, narcissists are not nearly as correct as they wanted you to believe. Their pronouncements then, and this is important, are not final. That's true. You do yourself no favors by wishing to make the world something that it's not. You do yourself no favors by assuming that you're a washed up nobody. That's not accurate. You do yourself no favors by displacing some of your pain or hurt onto other individuals. That's not their thing to have to carry. But instead, you can stand in the better alternatives that the narcissist never could join you with. And when I say better alternatives, love and decency and mercy and kindness and peace and joy. You can stand in that. That's what we do here on Team Healthy. And when you do, you can lay claim to the ingredients that give life meaning. So let's go back and underscore. There's a sobering truth that in its own strange way can lead to healing. And that sobering truth is simply this: some people are beyond redemption, but that doesn't have to include you. Now, I hope that videos such as this can give you some good food for thought. One of the things that I dearly hope is that you can find some healing and some movement forward in watching the videos. If you've not already subscribed, I would encourage you to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button too. Gus and I will keep more videos coming at you. If you have a need for therapy, and I know sometimes it's good to have somebody help you unpack these kinds of things. I'm so pleased that we're sponsored by the people at BetterHelp.com. They're an online therapy resource. There's a link below that will take you directly to that, and you would be able to select from a team of licensed professional therapists. If that's a need you have, I would strongly encourage you to seek that out. In addition, I have my therapeutic courses, and these are very extensive. They're not just some simple kind of thing. Multiple videos per course with written documents and guided questions that will take you into a therapeutic direction. Ready, Set, Connect, about having healthy connection skills. This is me about establishing those boundaries. Free to be, finding yourself despite the controllers. In addition, we have my books. We have my website, we have my podcast. There are plenty of resources, and they're all there meant to help you in your healing process. Thank you for letting me be on your journey with you. It's sobering to say that some people are just beyond redemption. They just simply will not change. But as you accept that and figure out what that means, there are those other truths that can be very healing. I want you to latch onto those. And I'm hoping to lead you into what we stand for here on Team Healthy: dignity, respect, and civility. I believe that down to the core of my being. And in doing so, I hope that you can take yourself to a place of peace.